Hi everybody. Happy Friday night. Thanks for tuning in. This is Ryan Montbleau here on another moving day. I'm going to play my entire I Was Just Leaving record and tell some stories from moving over the years. And I hope it brings you some peace tonight and some stillness, hearing about me moving around. I don't know if the Instagram is going. I'm just going to check this really quick. Oh, you know what? I got it. Oh. Well, waiting for Instagram. Hi everybody. Oh, look at us all. Okay, there's a lot of people tuning in on Facebook. Facebook is on point. Pardon me for this, just got to get the Instagram going. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to start playing some songs and then I'll tell you some stories as we go along. Hope you're doing all right out there, folks. The sun came up and the sun went down. I'm looking for reasons in my head again. Where are you now? Where you've always been? Far from where I am. Did I keep you there? Or did you run? Was it what I didn't do, or was it what I done? I've been hanging out alone, living on my own, just breathing. My heart's with you. Thought we tried to build a home. Turns out I was wrong. I was just leaving like I do, leaving like I do. The words came out and they fell to the floor. I'd pray to the heavens they'd go back in again. Such a simple solution. Turn back around. A little bit of sugar and we're good again. Did I talk too much? Or not at all? Something must be wrong with my head, 'cause I can't recall. And I've been hanging out alone, living on my own, just breathing. My heart's with you. Thought we tried to find a home. Turns out I was wrong. I was just leaving like I do, leaving like I do, yeah, like I do. All right. I still don't think the Instagram's going, but I don't know. But hi, Facebook. How's it going? I'll get more talkative as we go. That was I Was Just Leaving from I Was Just Leaving. Yeah, I don't think this works. Hi, everybody. I thought I'd go hatless tonight. Try to match the record cover. And this is real sweat. It's not fake sweat. I would never do that to you. Yeah, I don't think my other phone's working. Oh, maybe. Oh, hi, Instagram. I think. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I just played I Was Just Leaving. You missed it. Sorry, my bad. But I'm going to play the rest of the I Was Just Leaving record now. Hatless, no less. The second song on that record is called Bright Side, and I wrote this when I was in New Orleans during Jazz Fest a few years ago, and this song just was buzzing through me, and I had to get it out. And I called my friend Chris Jacobs, and he came over, and we worked on it together, and this is Bright Side. Since about the day I was born, always headed for a bright light, wondering what it might have in store. Through the dark of the dead-end roads and the people who are not what they seem, left myself alone again with me. And I was looking for a bright side, Mama, when you took me and you set me down slow. Calm my nerves, ease my mind, then you hit me with the healing. You show me what the real thing is. Bright lights are blinding, and I need reminding that my light shines brightest when I see the bright side of you. I was looking for a way out of the maze on those crazy days. Hung around long enough to peek out of the shade without changing my ways. I'm a champion, a prize-fight lover, and I'm covered up with wounds from the war. But I'm yours if you want me, I'm yours. And I was looking for a bright side, Mama, when you took me and you set me down slow. Calm my nerves, ease my mind, then you hit me with the healing. You show me what the real thing is. Bright lights are blinding, and I need reminding that my light shines brightest when I see the bright side of you. The bright side of you, yeah. When I see the bright side on you. Your eyes get blinded, trying too hard to find it, and I get excited when I see the bright side, when I see the bright side on you. Bright side of you, yeah. When I see the bright side of you, the bright side of you. All right, that's Bright Side. So I Was Just Leaving, the record was produced by Anders Osborne, and we made it down in New Orleans a few years ago. Put it out in 2017. I also just want to say too, before I start telling all these stories about myself, it really, if you just look at the news right now and social media, it's like just the world is burning. Minneapolis is literally burning, and just, I don't know, my heart goes out to everybody, and I just hope that this brings some respite from everything, and I'm just going to tell stories from my little world, and I hope you find some peace here. But this record, to me, I know last week I played, songs from every record. This song, this record, I was just leaving, for me, in my opinion, is my best record. And because my heart is really on there, I really poured my heart into those songs, and the production, most importantly, just matched the songs. And Anders Osborne is the guy who produced it. And if you haven't checked out Anders Osborne, I highly recommend checking out his music. He's incredible. He's a guiding light. He's a sage to me. He's just an incredible dude, incredible musician. And I think he did an amazing job on this record. It was basically just me, him, and this guy, Mark Howard, who was this incredible engineer. I keep using the word incredible, but I mean it with these people. Mark Howard was Daniel Lanois' engineer for forever, if you know who that is. And he's done all kinds of stuff on his own. He's done Bob Dylan and Tom Waits and U2 and everybody over the years. And it was basically me, Anders, and him in this control room of a studio, and some other people helping out in the studio. But mostly the three of us, and we just did basically the whole record in this control room of the studio. And I would just play, and Mark Howard does this special thing where it comes out of the monitors as you're tracking in the mics, and it all kind of has this shimmer. So it was a nice way to record. But I've said this before, those guys did an amazing job of kind of leaving the air in the room, leaving the mistakes in the record. This next one, I've said it before, but on the record, I thought I screwed up the chorus, and I kind of did. Compared to how I wanted to do it. But they were right. They were like, no, that take tells a story, and we left it in there. This song, when I first started writing it years ago, it started as a ballad. I had an idea for a ballad. Time and again, something, but it was going to be more of a slower song. And then I remember, I was living in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I'll get to that story. And I went and saw Josh Ritter at the Somerville Theater years ago, and I was really inspired by it. He's really great, and his band was great, and it was just it was just a really inspiring show. And I came home and started doing this. I wanted something that it was in tune. But I kind of mellowed it out a bit on the record. Like the thing that I wanted to do on the record was this kind of driving thing with a stomp box and stuff, and those guys left it as like basically the first or second take I did, and I'm so glad they did, because the heart is on there. But this is called Time and Again. Wake me in the morning, tell me there's no time for sleeping. Tell me that today's the day we're leaving. Drive us to the water's edge, dive into my heart instead. Tell me that we're home now, and home is where the heart has room to dance. It feels good enough for dancing. I know I have an audience with you here by my side. And if you need some privacy, I'll walk myself outside and count to 10. Mark the summer solstice with a moon dance for the weekend. Tell me that today's the day we're leaving. Drive us round till kingdom come. Shoreline work that need be done. Tell me we're in heaven now, and heaven is where everyone has room to run. feels good enough for running. I know I have some work to do with you here by my side, and if we need somewhere to go, we'll all just close our eyes and count to 10. Time and again it's clear, I'm in trouble when you're not near me. Turn around, take your chances, part the sea, don't leave it up to me. Who I dance with, who I dance with. All these preparations have been made for the proceedings. Tell me that today's the day we're needed. Throw thine hands up in the air. Throw thine hands up in the air. Yes. You throw thine hands up in the air and show me there's a fire somewhere. Point up to the sky now and open up your eyes, and I'll find you there. And I'll find you anywhere. I feel we have a mission now, and I believe there is a plan. And if it feels too much to bear, just stay right there and do the running man. Time and again it's clear, I'm in trouble when you're not near me. Turn around, take your chances, part the sea, don't leave it up to me. Part the sea, don't leave it up to me. Who I dance with, who I dance with, who I dance, who I dance with. Instagram. At the end of this next track on the record, this is called Warning Bell, and we used to play an upbeat version of it with the band, and we called it Gilman Bell after our keyboard player Sam Gilman. But I can't really do that version without Sam Gilman, so I'll just be doing the original Warning Bell. On the record, I there's a part at the end where I repeat that final chorus and I kind of skip a breath. I say, how many got a shot? How many heard a shot? How many got a warning bell? And I kind of paused there. And I had to do it when I recorded because I was about to just burst into tears and lose my shit. So, in case you're wondering, that's why there's a little pause there on the record. But you can barely notice it. But I didn't mean to sing it like that, but I had to kind of keep it together. I was really feeling it. I really felt these songs. I wrote most of these when I was living in Lawrence, Mass, and I finished them when I was living in Brooklyn, and I still had the Lawrence address. But we'll get there. Let me just play some more tunes. What's the matter? Oh. I'm going out west with my vest and my gun. I wanna run out to where the people act friendly. Feel a little pain in my chest and I don't know what it's from, but I know what it's for. It's to issue out a warning bell. Strangers I see only tell me I'm not ready. They say, surely you got 1 or 2 miles, you just can't tell. But tell me of the people you know, how many passed on already? How many heard a shot, how many got a warning bell? Guess I better tell Louie she's the best thing that happened to me. She found a job and I found God in the city. Oh my, most people I find don't take the time to understand me. And I'm going away. And the faces I see, they only tell me you're not ready. They say, surely you got 1 or 2 miles, you just can't tell. But tell me of the people you know, how many passed on already? How many heard the shot, how many got a warning bell? Faces I see, you only tell me I'm not ready. Say, surely you got 1 or 2 miles, you just can't tell. But tell me of the people you know, how many passed on already? How many heard a shot, how many got a warning bell? How many heard a shot, how many got a warning bell? How many heard the shot, how many got a warning bell? That's warning bell. Alright, so I'm moving again, as you can see. The movers are coming tomorrow morning. I got movers, which feels very adult. First time I've ever had movers. I live here in Burlington, Vermont, and I'm moving to Burlington, Vermont. I'm moving 3 miles from this apartment. So people are like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm not really going anywhere, but I bought a house, I bought a house today." Which was, I don't know, it's weird. I went to the address of this lawyer's office who I had never met, and I went to the bank before that and got this huge check made out to the lawyer who I had never met. And I went in there and talked to the nice lawyer who I then met, and I handed over a huge check and signed my name on all these things. I signed a document today that had the year 2050 on it, among other things. And I did all that, and they handed me a little key on a little key ring, and that's it. And so we'll see. So I'm gonna move some stuff tonight, and I'm gonna move the big stuff tomorrow, and I'm excited. But so yeah, I said in my post I've had 12 addresses in the last 17 years, and it's actually a little more stable than it sounds in a way. I'm not like this crazy gypsy who just goes around and stays around. It's for me, trying to find home has been kind of a struggle, but I have stayed in certain places. So I grew up in Peabody, Massachusetts, and my parents were kind enough to help put me through school, and I went to Villanova University, and outside of Philly, and that's where music kind of took hold, and I started writing poetry, and I got the blues, and I got sad, and I started writing and playing guitar, and then I started singing when I was 21, my last semester of college. And then I came home, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to make music. And they were like, what? But they were very patient, and they let me live with them for another 4 years after college while I figured it out. But I knew when I graduated I wanted to make music for a living. And so I got a job at the Old House of Blues, the original one in Cambridge, Mass. And then eventually I was also a substitute teacher, and I had a couple other jobs, but those were the main ones. And I would play gigs, as many gigs as I could get, and I just started gigging my face off and just taking any gigs. And eventually I hit the road, and I've been kind of going ever since. But I lived with my parents up until, I was like, 25, 26 or something. Then in the summer of 2003, I moved out of my parents' house as they were moving out of the house to sell it in Peabody. And I moved into an apartment on Thorndike Street in Davis Square in Somerville, Massachusetts. And literally the first thing I did when I moved to my first apartment, and I had roommates, but I got my room. I moved all my stuff into my room. My friend Booge helped me. Shout out to Booge. When a person helps you carry a couch down the stairs, you never forget that person. You never should. But Booge helped me move, and I moved in the old van. And the first thing I did was I just moved in this apartment in Somerville, and I left. I didn't even stay there for a night. I just went on tour for like 2 months. And that was the tour where my van broke down in the desert, and the engine kind of blew up, and then I lost my appendix and had my appendix out in Vegas, and I made it back a couple months later to my apartment in Somerville, and I lived there for a few years, and that was a wonderful place. We would have once a year we'd have raging parties in the backyard. We'd have like 3 bands and a bunch of kegs, and we'd have raging parties on the deck, and it was a really good time. I would go down to the Burn in Davis Square and play on my off nights, and I just met a wonderful group of friends and group of people. And then 3 years into that place, I moved to another place in Cambridge, which was still outside of Davis Square, with my friend Eric Provenzel, who was into a lot of indie rock, and he was this cool dude. And that place itself wasn't kind of as cool as the place I had left, but it was like still I was in the area, and Eric was really cool, and he turned me on to a lot of cool music, and I lived basically in the same area. And then things started to get weird. I was basically in Davis Square for 5 years. And then I was touring like crazy at that time with the band, and so this would have been around 2008 or so, or 2000, yeah, I think so. We got a letter under the door one day that said the owner of the house is moving back in, and you have 1 month to move out. And I was going on a tour in 3 days, and so I had 3 days to find a place to live and to move there. And I had happened to just visit a buddy of mine. My buddy Chris Pollock lived up in Haverhill, Mass. And so I moved out of this place in 3 days, packed everything up, found this place. He let me live in a room in his house, and I paid him some rent. And I lived in Haverhill, Mass for a year, which is weird. All of a sudden I was in Haverhill, and I was like, okay, and I was still touring like crazy, but I had this room up there. And then I lived there for about a year, and then a year later we were on tour in the Virgin Islands, and we were about to come home for a day and then go on another like 5-week tour, because that's what we did in those days. We just toured it like crazy. And Chris called me up and was like, yeah, me and the wife are getting a divorce. You have to move out right now. And so I had 1 day to move. So I came back my 1 day in between tours. I literally had 1 day, and I moved all my stuff with the help of my ex-girlfriend, and we just moved all this stuff like all day. And it was like I moved everything out, and then suddenly I was living with my Uncle Bob in Pelham, New Hampshire, and Uncle Bob had he helped me out. He took me in, and he has like a bunch of old vintage guitars and stuff, and he's a really cool dude. But he also has a crazy attack dog, this German Shepherd named Chanel, who I think has since passed away. Which I don't like when any dogs pass away, but I don't know, that might have been for the best. This dog was crazy. Anytime I was in the dog's presence, my Uncle Bob would have to be holding the dog, and the dog would have a muzzle on, and the dog would be going, rah, 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 like ready to rip my face off. And that was the only time I could be in the dog's presence. If I wanted to go home, I had to call ahead and tell my uncle that I was coming home so he could put the dog away, and it wouldn't be anywhere free in the house where he could get me. And the one morning I came out to get a cup of tea, and I'm all kind of groggy, and I thought the dog was away, and the dog was out, and it started chasing me around this thing, and it came up and bit my back. And that's the only time I ever physically touched the dog. So that was Uncle Bob's place. But shout out to Uncle Bob. He was the man. He hooked me up. No, Instagram's not working. Okay, well, it's okay. There are worse things. I wonder why that is. All right, Facebook only tonight, folks. Woo, we can let it hang out. Who needs Instagram, man? Try to get it going. This will be the last stream from this apartment, by the way, because again, we're moving out tomorrow. I guess I'll leave it at Uncle Bob's for now. And then I'll get back to the story in a minute. This song is called Moving Too Fast. Stormy minds, they lead to stormy weather. I know I got cloudy, lost it now or never. For so long, gave myself no option of slowing. Never quite knew where I was going, but I was moving so fast. I was moving so fast. I was moving so fast and so strong. In a field I came upon a feather someone lost. Brought it with me to a shade of heather and moss. And when that bird appeared above me, I asked how it lost this part of it. So smooth and so strong, gliding along. Why leave anything behind? He said I was moving too fast. I was moving too fast. Said I was moving too fast to hold on to it. Screeching halts and starts and stops, must get back over the treetops. Higher and higher, and I can fly so far above the weather. I was cruising fast as ever when I hit that wall. Half awake and barely saw it coming at all. These days I just sit by the river, think about the boy that I was, pointing my eyes up towards heaven, and it shines a lot more than it does when you're moving too fast. When you're moving too fast. When you're moving too fast to hold on. Nothing. I thought it was working. My apologies to the people of Instagram. All right. This next one is called Running the Engine. Kind of a similar theme to the last one. On this record, when I wrote these songs, I was like really sad and just kind of reflecting on a lot of years on the road, and I kind of sort of for the first time in a long time had a chance to catch my breath, and I had been through a breakup, and I had been through the breakup of my band, and lost my management. It was just kind of a lot of upheaval, and it was hard to kind of get my footing, and thank God I had the songs to kind of get me through it. And this one, the you that I'm referring to in this song is music itself. It was almost like I was writing a letter addressed to music, and kind of all we had been through for some years. How's the hair? I'm not used to this. I'm not used to sweat going in my head too. The hat serves some purposes. This is why I wear a hat. Weird. I feel like there's a spider on my head. This is called Running the Engine. Too many years to know just how it began. But once I found you, I took you and ran to the edges where we'd be understood beneath the dark roads. We were running the engine and made no time to mention all the work we would do, but we knew we were running the engine, and the engine was running like new. Spinning my wheels to get my foot in the door of all the places we'd not been to before. Punching my ticket, punch my foot on the gas. Oh, and we ran. We were running the engine over mountains unending. The higher we climbed, the more those mountains grew. We were running the engine, and the engine was running like new. Pedal to the metal, driving hard over the old roads until they all look so familiar. Grinding through the gears again, riding through a year again, saying I'll make my way, I'll make my way with you. We were running the faster we ran, the more they grew. We were running the engine, and the engine was running us too. This next song is called Hope versus Pray. And this one has always meant a lot to me. I don't know exactly why, but there's something about this that has always felt like it came from the middle of me or something. But I wrote this when I was living in Lawrence, Mass. Okay, so back to the stories. I hope these are interesting. I don't know. It's weird. So I'm living with my Uncle Bob in Pelham, New Hampshire. Kind of out of nowhere. There was like a series of sudden moves, and all of a sudden I'm not living in Somerville and with like around like cool people in it, anymore and stuff like. And I'm just like kind of living with my uncle. And at that time, then the band started looking for a house that we could all live in together, which is something we never would have done in the beginning because we knew it was just we spend so much time together as it is. But at that point, it was like we'd spent enough years together that to really know each other, and it was sort of like. We wanted to a lot of us needed a place at the same time, kind of. It all kind of lined up, and we wanted a place where we could rehearse and live. And, I had these visions of like, someone's in the kitchen just making eggs, and somebody comes in with a guitar, and you're like, oh, what's that? And then somebody comes in with the drum, but it wasn't like that. It was like, we all lived in this place, but we would set up rehearsals, and we set everything up in the living room. And that's probably, I sent a lot of photos from there over the years. The red tree I used to take photos of was there. And that was a beautiful house. Basically, we found this beautiful house in Lawrence, Mass, Lawrence has a sketchy reputation as far as towns in Massachusetts. So at first it was like, I'm not moving to Lawrence. It was like, nah, And then it was like, we looked at it and it was like half the money of any other place we could find anywhere near Boston. And it was nicer. It was a beautiful old Victorian house built in the 1840s. And we're like, nah, I'm not moving to Lawrence. And then we looked at it again, and we're like, nah, I'm not moving to Lawrence. Then we looked at it again, and it was like, all right, we're moving to Lawrence. And basically, I had that address for 9 years, and the place was a blessing. When we moved in, there was a 5-bedroom, and we each had a bedroom, and it was mostly just everybody was in the band, and plus our friend Jan, and. It was $360 a month, and then by the end, even 9 years later, it was $400 a month. So it was just this blessing over the years of like this place that was so cheap and nice, and it was a place to basically keep my stuff and have the band stuff, and we could rehearse, and then I was still going crazy on the road. So it was like in those 9 years, as much of a blessing as the house was, I kind of lost all my social circles around Boston and stuff. I mean, I still had friends, but that amount of miles away, it was like 35-minute drive into Boston. It was like, oh, I can still go in all the time. And it's like, in the course of years, you don't really do that. You tend to stay where you are. So after years of, I had a lot of great times in that house, and I also suffered a lot in that house, and just, and again, it wasn't the house's fault or anybody there. It was just like, I experienced a lot of isolation and a lot of loneliness there, and so that's where I wrote a lot of these songs. I would sit in my bedroom in Lawrence, and that's where I went after that Josh Ritter show, and kind of came up with what became Time and Again. But I wrote this song when I was there, and I remember posting when I was there. It was like we were like 2 or 3 years into the house, and I was like, I'm moving. I don't know where, and I took to Facebook, and I was like, I'm moving. I don't know exactly when or where, but I'm moving. Boop, boop. Sorry, I signed a little autograph there. And so I posted, I'm moving, and I'm all angry. I don't even know what I was huffing about. But and then it was like 6 years later, I did move from there, but it just took a long time. And I think that kind of made its way into the song a little bit, When I said that I was leaving here for good, back then I meant it, And I was so angry, but I never did. And This is Hope versus Pray. What's up, Jenna? Jenna lived there. When I said that I was leaving here for good back then, I meant it. Angry letter in my hand, there I stood and never sent it. But I'd hope and I'd pray, and I'd hold back the days, because I knew not where they lead. Effort spent to keep on smiling, though our fences never mended. Golden rule redefined, never broken though we bend it. And we hope and we pray, and we hold back the days, believing there's a better place, though we know not what that means. Lessons learned he released. Go in peace, this mass has ended. Though our eyes will point the way, the mystery must be defended. Hope and pray that the road will lead you back someday, believing there's a better place. And we know just where it leads. I think it's good. All right. So I wrote that when I was in Lawrence, and when I lived in Lawrence, I would kind of sit there in this lazy boy that I had, this big recliner, and sit there and think too much and that's where I started meditating a lot too, and which helped a lot. And I just I kind of suffered a lot, but I wanted to live somewhere else for a while, but I didn't know where, I didn't know how, and I never had the time to do it. And you know, there were different places I thought about living, Northampton, Mass, and eventually up here in Burlington, Vermont, and then but New York City was always on the map. I figured I should live in New York at some point in my life. So my friend Eric Kalb, who's a great drummer, who's a drummer from Deep Banana Blackout, and has played with Charlie Hunter and all kinds of people. He was looking for a roommate, and the rent was doable, and I could park my car fairly easily for New York City, for Brooklyn, and I did it. So I moved to Brooklyn, and I kept my room in Lawrence, Mass, and that's why it got kind of confusing for a while, because it was like I was calling Brooklyn home, but I always had a place in Mass I would go back to, and I would go back and do gigs and go there, and then it just made sense. All my stuff was there. It was cheap rent. For the amount I was still going to Boston and other places to play gigs, it just made sense to keep it. But I was calling Brooklyn home, which had its own challenges, but it was really nice. I was never in New York City long enough to be like, oh, the city, I'm so sick of it. I never got that thing because I was always leaving and coming back, and I basically just had a really good time there. And you know, it was trying. I was in this basement apartment that was energetically like kind of just weird, and then you walk out and there's just a big pile of garbage, and then the BQE was right over, and there's just trucks going by, and there's a homeless man living under the truck soot and all that stuff, and then it was just kind of nasty. And then you just walk through this beautiful park. McGolrick Park was right there, and I just walked through this beautiful little park, and it was all walks of life and the old Polish people that were still in the neighborhood, and it was just beautiful. And then I would go to just the coolest bar I'd ever been to. And then, you know, and anytime you walked out of the door, just $100 just fell out of your pocket, and but it was great, and I lived there, and I liked it, and I never really, you know, I wasn't like I got to get out of the city or anything, but eventually I started visiting. I always liked Burlington, Vermont, and I was still kind of looking for home. I didn't know. And it was kind of like just situational. I was like, well, I could get out of here. And anyway, long story short is I started visiting up here a little bit. I had always come here for gigs up here in Burlington, Vermont. And my friend Tara Lee, who was up here and lives here, and I would start visiting, and her husband Dan have an Airbnb over their house here in Burlington. And I stayed there for 3 or 4 days or something, and caught some sunsets on the lake, and that was it. I was like, I think I could try living up here. And eventually I did. I guess I'll go through the Burlington apartments if you want, but I eventually I moved here. But first, before I did that, I wasn't living here yet. I wrote this next song when I was in her Airbnb, and this is called This Wonderful Place. And Tara Lee has named her and Dan have named their retreat center in Morrisville, Vermont, after this song. It's called This Wonderful Place, the retreat center is, and that's where we do our songwriting retreats. And we're supposed to be doing another one next weekend, but that got canceled a while ago, and we never even got to put it out there, but I'll be doing more of those. And anyway, this is called This Wonderful Place, and it's kind of funny to be playing this in Burlington where I wrote it, because I was sad to be leaving it, and now I live here. Okay. Responsibility calls me on now. It's not that I want to go, I just know how. When I start far behind, I get run by the race. I must go now, leave this wonderful place. All the horses and all the king's men will be there on Monday, all lined up again, to shine up their shells and to feed their children. It's worth all the days to go back to a wonderful place. In another world, we could just stay here all day. Screw it, I'll do it if you do it. What happens on payday? Responsibilities not for the youngins. Sure, not sexy or sunny, you're funny, and it rolls off the tongue like bread that's bone dry. So don't stuff your face. Take just enough to be in a wonderful place. I thank the crickets for sitting in up here in Vermont. Are the crickets all right with you guys, or are they driving you nuts? Yeah, it is crazy to sing in here. So I'll get into some more tunes, but I guess just to finish my moving stories, it's like, so I found up here in Burlington, Vermont, and I was like, I'll try it out for a summer, and I got this furnished one-bedroom place up on College Street here, and I tried it out. It was month to month, and I tried it out, and I was like, yep, I love it here. I want to stay here. And so I called this home. So then it was like I moved out of Brooklyn and moved my stuff up here, but I still had my place in Lawrence too, that I would go crash in and whatever, and I was still there. And so I had the place in Mass while I was having a place up here, and I eventually just like basically I got that month-to-month place, and then I was sort of suddenly forced to move out of there. I thought I had re-upped, and they were like, somebody's moving into your place on Monday. What time will you be out? And I was like, what? And then I had to find a place on Craigslist, and I almost moved out of Burlington. I was like, I don't know. I still have the place in Lawrence. I don't want to live there really, but it's like, I don't know what's going on here, if it's going to work. And then every time I've had any of those feelings here in Burlington, something really nice happens. Like some stranger, that night when I was like, I don't know, man. It was simple things. I went to the grocery store and I was like, do you have any boxes that I could use? And the woman at the co-op was so nice. It was a young woman, and she was so like, yeah, I got some boxes, man. Here, how about these banana boxes? Sure. And it was just like, it was the vibe, man. It was like the way she did it was so nice. I was like, that was nice. And then I'm walking up the hill. It was College Street is a pretty steep hill, and I'm walking up the hill with these boxes, which look heavy, but they were empty. And this total stranger dude was walking by me down as I was walking up the hill, and he just looked, and he kind of came back and stopped. He's like, man, do you need help with those? And I was like, no, I'm good. They were light, but it was simple little things like that, like little random acts of kindness that I was like, I'm staying in Burlington. And so I found this place, lucked out on Craigslist. I found this little 2-bedroom place up on Lakeview Terrace, which Kat Wright, when I met her here, had this premonition. She was like, all right, you're going to want to get a bike and go around. And she's like, eventually you're going to want to get a place on Lakeview Terrace. And she doesn't even remember saying this, but that's where I ended up living. It was really random. And so I lived on Lakeview Terrace, and I had this little 2-bedroom place in the back. And then I waited 6 months for the person to move out. This wonderful person who I still see, her and her husband come out when I play in D.C. now. She moved back to D.C. But I got this little place by the lake, and it had a little deck. It was on the lake side of the building. It was this little building I lived in with 5 units, and I lived in the back first, and then I moved out for another address to go into unit number 5, which is in the back, which had the deck, and I just wanted to stay in that place forever. And I was there for a good couple of years, I guess, or a year and a half, I don't know. And then they wanted to renovate that place, and so they had me move everything out. I was like, everything? And they were like, everything. And they wanted to keep me as a tenant, but they had me move into the apartment next door. So I left the greatest place I've ever lived and moved everything out into the apartment next door, which didn't really fit. And then I went to Peru, and I did a bunch of medicine in the jungle. And then I came back, and when I was still in Peru, they were like, the landlord was like, yeah, we're not going to renovate it anymore. We're going to sell the building. And so I came back, and I was like, what? And they were like, well, you can move in or maybe not. And it was like this, and I came back, and I just basically, before I knew it, had to move from that building. And it was like kind of weird. And then I found this place that I'm in now, and I've been here for a year. And it's been a blessing. I'm doing well. What can I say? I pay money for rent, and I live right near the lake here in Burlington, Vermont, and it's wonderful. But now, it finally clicked one day that I was just paying off somebody else's mortgage, and that maybe I could pull off having my own. I never thought I'd be able to even own a house. I don't even know. I didn't even want to say anything when it was first happening because, I don't know, it just felt weird, maybe too much sharing. But I bought a house today, and I'm moving in tomorrow. So this is the last hurrah in this apartment. So I'll see you from the house next week. All right, more tunes. Thanks for listening to my stories, all that's going on in the world. I hope they're not boring. One of these days when we get to where we're going, one of these days when the winds of change have slowed, take these wheels off of the road and we'll sit back and we'll talk about it. One of these days when we get to where we're going. One of my lives I will give you if you want it. It's a little worn out, but it should be what you want. Leave the other lives with the winter clothes and we'll sit back in the sun together. One of these days when we get to where we're going. And no, I never stop loving you at all. So no, I never stop loving you at all. Did my time every night and day, and I turn my eyes and my mind away, but I never stop loving you at all. One of these days when you get to what you want, when the skies open up and you feel that you are wanted. One of these days when the tide comes in and you lift it right back home again. One of these days when you get to where you're going. So no, I never stop loving you at all. No, I never stop loving you at all. Turn my eyes and my mind away, but the heart finds what it wants and stays. And I never stop loving you at all. At all. Never stop loving you at all. You at all. One of these days I find myself too far to come back around. Hold my breath till you come back home, and I wake up dizzy and all alone. But I never stop loving you at all. You at all. You at all. Never stop loving you at all. You at all. I never stop loving you at all. You at all. Never stop loving you at all. You at all. The stuffed animal audience is back. Ask me what I did today. house. I didn't buy a house, I just agreed to pay for one for a long time. Okay. This song was kind of an anomaly on the record. This is called Abigail. This song, for whatever reason, took me years to write. I really worked hard on this and could never get it, and sometimes the songs don't come out until they're ready to come out. And this one finally was ready to come out. But we got to rock out a little bit on this one on the record, and Anders plays some awesome slide at the end, and you got to check out Anders Osborne if you haven't. Show me or shun me, but take your hands from me, Abigail. Daylight is fading, and I'm tired of waiting for time to tell. Let go of my hand, call me your man, or leave me forever. I am not playing, just saying, sweet Abigail. Put up or shut up, my tongue is cut up, but I'll take you down. I have cried over your tattooed shoulders, and you got a new one now. Once the ink dries, so will my eyes, and stay there forever. And we will never be more than the way we were. There was a time when you and I were just having fun and nothing serious, Abigail. Now we're wrapped around the sun, deep within each other's arms, and you act like you're unaware. Help me and hold me, just like you told me about the grand design. Your light is blinding, your skin is shining, and it shines on mine. Just settle down, stop running around with hey and whoever. Oh, we will never be more than the way we were. See the light that's in front of you, Abigail. You lead the way where they wanted you, Abigail. And you take me for a ride. Deep, deep down you'll find it's you and I. You and I, you and I. Crickets. I don't know, I think I played it good, but all I heard was crickets. At the end, no, I'm just kidding. All right, that was Abigail. I got two more from this record. And then I'll play a couple more for you. Yeah, it's been quite a trip. So I'm moving again tomorrow, but this one feels different. Feels a lot different. Um, because I'm going to own the house, and I'm not going to be alone, which I've spent a lot of my adult life, not all of it, but I've spent a lot of it kind of on my own. But got some roommates. One's my girlfriend, and one is her daughter, and they're wonderful people. And I suppose all these stuffed animals will have to come also. And yeah, life is good. I'm getting some midget looks. It feels like every move that I've done in my life has led to this point, you know? It feels like, I don't know, just you can't think you can go on anymore doing something, and then you do. You endure, you know? And then, I don't know, you keep on going, and then good things happen, and the tide always comes, rises and falls, you know? So I hope we're not, you know, just completely losing it these days with everything that's going on. I know it's easy to just seeing what's going on out there in the world, but I have to believe and have faith that it's getting better, you know, and the tide will rise and fall, and we'll be okay. Here's a song called Together at Least, also called The Betterment Blues. Looking forward to being together again. I booked a gig today. I hadn't booked a gig in a long time. There's not many coming, but I'm going to do something in June. It's a drive-in show in New Hampshire, and there'll be more. It's not really out yet, but there'll be details. It's somewhere in the middle of June. I wish that we were fighting, 'cause that wouldn't mean we were together at least. We could be riding on a roller coaster headed back east, in the middle of a rainstorm, wondering where we went wrong, wandering together at least. Mad in Arizona, lost in Carolina, wandering together at least. And I wish that we were raging, 'cause that might mean you were raging at me. We're birds in cages, acting our age, just not how they said it would be. In the middle when the pain comes, wondering where it came from, wandering together at least. In the middle of a rainstorm, wondering where we went wrong, wandering together at least. Stand by whatever you choose, it's better to lose than not love at all. Sometimes you sing the blues alone, and stand by the betterment blues. There are no fools, just people who fall, and everybody sings the blues alone. We are never alone. No, we are never alone. At least that's what they say. They say we're never alone. Not today anyway. And I wish that you were riding over on that messed up motor, grinding your teeth. Maybe I'd calm you down, safe and sound for the time being at least. Leaving California, mad in Arizona, wandering together at least. In the middle of a rainstorm, wondering where we went wrong, wandering together at least. Wandering together at least. Wandering together at least. Wandering together at least. So one last song from the I Was Just Leaving record. And thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for tuning into the live streams. We put out a t-shirt today with Stretch. Stretch, the giraffe, is on it. And there's a picture of Stretch on it. A picture without the mask on the front. And then on the back he has his mask and it says, I survived quarantine 2020 with Ryan Montbleau. And we got some tank tops and some t-shirts. Merchandising. I got one more for you. This is when I used to, well, I'm still on the road when I can be, but we used to be in the van and be driving somewhere, especially out west, and you kind of come around a bend and you're just kind of going through mindless trees or something, and you come around a bend and then this valley opens up or something beautiful, and I would always just go, cue the majesty. It was like cue, like right on cue, like please just cue the majesty, like cue the car chase or something. So that's where this song came from, and this is called Cue the Majesty. And we could use a little majesty these days. This kid came up after a show once, and he was like, he was like a younger guy. He came up, he was like, I love that song. I played Cue the Majesty, and he was like, that's such a great song. I love that. I was like, thank you so much. And then I played some more, and he came up again, like at the end of the show, and he was like, oh, I thought it was Kill the Majesty. I was like, no, man, no. But he liked it. He was like, yeah, it's still good. Why give me a gift and then take it away? Why promise me heaven, but not for today? Why all this aching and pain in my feet? I'm tired of this tired, dirty street. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty. Cut to the mountains and set a grand scene. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty, cue the majesty for me. Why pour myself out if it's all down the drain? Why cry in the mornings? Why laugh in the rain? Why did I let her go? Why can't I let her go? I need something that won't go away. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty. Open up the skyline and show me the sea. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty, cue the majesty for me. power lines, they roll and they roll. The high tension wires are the spires of Rome. They cut out in storms, and they cut out our pictures, and they cut through the heart of my home. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty. Let my eyes rest from this fantasy. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty, cue the majesty for me. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty. Let my eyes rest from this fantasy. Cue the majesty, cue the majesty, cue the majesty for me. Thanks, everybody. Oh, hey. What's going on? Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in every Friday. And I'll keep doing these for the foreseeable future. These live streams have been such a blessing for me, and you've been telling me it's a blessing for you, and so I keep doing them. It's really this wonderful thing that works out for everybody here. One of the things I was thinking about, I don't know, just the fact that I bought a house today is like, I don't know, I'm 42 years old, and I've been basically working at this for the last 20 years, and it feels right. It feels like it's time, you know, and I can't believe I was able to do it, but it's not lost on me at all that I'm able to do that because of you. I really am. And you know, I've worked hard, but it comes back because of you, and I just appreciate that. I've just been, you know, clawing at this for so long. It started in early 2000s, taking any gig I could get, you know what I mean? And then just like, I don't know, everything from living with my Uncle Bob to living in the house in Lawrence for $400 a month, and trying New York, trying out here, and just you keep clawing your way and trying to find it. And I don't know, I just feel really, really lucky, and thank you all. And like I've been saying, the I Was Just Leaving record was produced by Anders Osborne, and you have to check out Anders Osborne's music if you haven't, and if you have, check it out more. He's really the reason that record came out how it did, and he's like this guiding light of a guy who's been at it, you know, for decades longer than I have. And he's been through the war and back and addiction and all kinds of stuff, and he's come out shining, and he's a beautiful man, and he makes incredible music, and he cannot half-step a single note, or even if he was listening to playback, he would just get super into it. Like, he's just such a soulful dude. So I thought it'd be appropriate to play one of his songs, which I've never done. This is a song called Life Don't Last That Long. And this is by Anders Osborne. And I recommend checking out his track of this. It's such a beautiful sounding track, and the song's beautiful. I've loved this song for a long time, but I just learned it today, so I'll do my best. When I moved to California, I had a friend out there, my scarlet begonia, Hollywood affair. I got caught up in the big wave, riding that big blue, but my heart was being different. I knew it wasn't you. Free, yeah, you're on the path, and you tell yourself you need to just keep on moving, even if you hurt someone. 'Cause life don't last that long. I stayed high up in the mountains, but I couldn't find my rest. I drank heavy from that fountain till I couldn't feel my chest. So many people, so much chatter, but nothing to fit my goals. I need lightness in my body, colors to show my soul. Free, yeah, you're on the path, and you tell yourself you need to just keep on moving, find where you belong. Life don't last that long. Life don't last that long. Still looking for a wise man to reign this world. Maybe someday I will, oh, I will find that pearl. Find the pearl. I need something to believe in, someone to hear my call. I tried to choose religion, I seem to like them all. I kept reading my own scriptures and gazing up above, instead of being where I'm standing and feeling that one love. Free, and now you're on the path, and you tell yourself you need to just keep on moving, even when your faith is gone. Life don't last that long. Life don't last that long. Ooh, ooh. Thank you so much, everybody. That was an Anders Osborne song. I'll end the night with one of mine. This is an old one. Somebody asked for this one. And thanks for tuning into these live streams. I'll see you next week from the house. Whatever that looks like. I have a little room there that's going to be the guitar room. And we'll see what happens. This song's going out by request. There's a guy who hit me up on Facebook, and there's a guy named John Ballack. And John and his wife Lauren had a new baby this week. Their new baby, Rosemary, came out 7 weeks premature this week. And I think she's okay, but I think they're still in the hospital. And anyway, this is going out for John and Lauren and little Rosie, little Rosemary, new baby. Thanks, everybody. I'll leave you with this one, and we'll see you next week from the house. Here's to the 100,000 people who I've met. Here's to the 97,000 whose names that I forgot. Here's to the 750 I call my friends, and the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 dozen there at the top. Here's to the sisters and the show-nuffs and the suits and all the grown-ups. Little kiddies come out barefoot tonight to play. Most of all, this one goes out to the one that I have yet to meet, and I can't wait for you to take my breath away. No, I can't wait for you to take. Thought I was doing fine, but I was faking. Thought I could make it on my own, but I can't make it. No, I can't wait for you to take my breath away. I can hear you singing. Here's to the 100 million fishes in the sea, and all the birds up in the sky I long to be. Here's to the worms down underground, all the trees roaming all around, and all the roads we took just to get here to this town. Here's to the crossroad quick decisions. Here's to the vistas and the visions and the whole business spread before us every day. Most of all, this one goes out to the place that I have yet to be, and I can't wait for you to take my breath away. No, I can't wait for you to take it. Thought I was doing fine, but I was faking. Thought I could make it on my own, but I can't make it. No, I can't wait for you to take my breath away. Here's to the people who I passed along this road. Here's to all the people passing on the unknown. Here's to the ones who broke the law, all the saints of my grandpa. Here's to everyone who's ever walked alone. Here's to the goodness that you'll choose in the times you thought you'd lose it. Here's to people making people here to stay. Most of all, this one goes out to everybody listening to this stream right now. Doing what you have to do to get through this. Keep moving forward. I can't wait for you to take my breath away. No, I can't wait for you to take it. No, I can't wait for you to take my breath away. One more time, no, I can't wait for you to take it. Thought I was doing fine, but I was faking. Thought I could make it on my own, but I can't make it. No, I can't wait for you to take my breath away. Can't wait for you to take my breath away. Can't wait for you to take my breath away. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you from the house next week. Oh. I heard you singing out there, folks. I got an audience again this week. I want to show you this. Come on. Oh, wait, it's reversed. Well, that's just weird. Oh, yeah. Look at all the peeps. Wicked sick, Ryan. Oh, the camera's reversed. Sorry. Best concert ever. Rock on. Look at that dude. So fire, dude. That's Mooch's grandfather. And Mooch. There's a whole family. Tortellini. We got some roomies. Oh. Huh? Oh. Forgot about these guys. Yo. Whoa. This is just weird. Hey, everybody. Thanks a lot. I got to pack up some boxes. See you soon.